You're watching Soundwaves TV. Super excited to have Ken Newman on the show to talk about an amazing foundation here in the Bay Area called Blanket the Homeless. And can I just add, the most stylish guest I think we've ever had here on Soundwaves TV.
Oh, God, tell that to my son. Really.
Son, are you listening?
Yeah, tell him about the scarf. The scarf's okay?
The scarf is amazing.
Not too many bracelets.
I know all of the things. I love it. You're going to be my new stylist from now on.
Oh, God.
Clearly, I need help
and
from the hat.
And you've destroyed my relationship with my son. So that's, whatever.
Yes, you have a really cool dad, I can tell already. So Blanket the Homeless, what an amazing foundation. Everything I've been hearing about is so cool. Tell us how your baby got started here, because you really run the foundation and it's really an incredible thing.
Thank you so much. So here's what happened. We lost Robin Williams, as everybody knows. So Margaret Cho was a wonderful comedian, was a dear friend of his, and Mike Pritchard said, Mike Pritchard said to her, don't grieve Robin, be Robin.
Ooh.
And she said,
that's so good.
Yeah, I know what that means. So Margaret said, okay, well, let me do something bare bones. Mm-hmm. And she and Jerry Lawler, who was a dear friend of hers, who I'm sad to say we just lost, is just a wonderful, wonderful improvisational comedian. I think the first one they did was in The Haight. Mm-hmm. They opened up their a guitar case, and started just busking.
On the street?
On the street.
Amazing.
And she put a little sign that says, if you have, give, if you need, take.
Oh,
so people would throw money into the guitar case, and she would say, "Great," and she would hand it out to people.
Oh, I love that.
So literally, it's the most minimalist infrastructure imaginable for a nonprofit, right? It's just the money in, money out.
It lands on the ground. Here you go.
It goes out,
wow.
right? And my friend, I remember the day distinctly. It was like sometime in early November. I was getting my hair cut. My phone goes off, and my friend says, "Hey, I know you're doing homeless outreach. Well, check out what Margaret Cho's doing." She just posted it on her Facebook page. And I figured, well, how the hell am I going to get a hold of her? She doesn't know me. So I message her on Facebook. "Hi, Margaret. I'm this guy. I do this thing." She says, "Great. Do you have a busking amp?" which is a battery-operated amp. I said, "Of course I do." And she goes, "Well, take that amp and meet me in front of Larkin Street Youth Services and start playing." And I said, "Great." So I went to Guitar Center because I had to buy the damn busking amp.
Of course, of course.
Right. And
make it till you make it.
Exactly. Oh, of course I got one of those. Yeah. So then I start playing, and I literally set up my guitar, start doing a couple of covers. Next thing, Margaret comes over and sings Wonderwall with me, I think. Next thing I see, press photographers. A big truck comes by with a porta potty on it. Some guy comes by with a bunch of cell phones to hand out to people on the street, so they can call their families and say, "Hey, I'm in San Francisco. I'm safe. I'm okay." There's a woman sets up a chair. She starts to do haircuts. Somebody has 150 pounds of pasta. Bob Mold from Husker Du. At one point, I'm plugging into my new amp, and I hear this voice say, "Hey, can I use your amp?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Do you want any effects on it?" He goes, "No, I got a pedal." And I'm like, "Okay, you
turn around, and you're like,
you can have my amp. You can have my amp." Roger Rocha is there from Four Non Blondes, and he's like, and he's playing Ari Gorman. There's just one person after another are like creating this kind of weird thing, and it's happening on the street in real time, and it's packed.
This is so a Bay Area story.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what happens here.
The police are redirecting traffic. People are dumping tons of clothes. People are just coming. Well, I'll organize it by size. We have cardboard boxes up and down the street, and people are walking around like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
And then we started doing more on the street. We did one in front of the Victoria Theater in the Mission. We started doing shows at the Boom Boom Room and the Oasis and the Edge, and Donna Merlino got involved doing promotion. She had a long history of doing promotion for music in San Francisco.
Incredible.
And it just exploded. And my friend, Bronica Blue, this is the name she uses, Bronica DiCarlo, told me about a friend of hers who was giving out these Mylar emergency blankets.
Just in case you don't know exactly what this is, like if you run a race, you get a Mylar blanket at the end to keep you warm.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They're space blankets, they called. I think
space
they maybe
blankets,
originally came up with it.
Yeah. So that's what this is. Okay.
Right, and they're not like something that you're gonna have forever, but if you're careful with it, you could use it over and over and over again. Of course. And they're not super cuddly, but it's like it can be a life and death issue, like on a really cold night, and would definitely make you more comfortable. So I said, "Wow, this is a great idea," and immediately my marketing head kicked in, and I went, "We'll call it Blanket the Homeless." And she said, "Yeah, amazing. I like that." Yeah. And then I registered blanketthehomeless.org, and you'll see what the progression, how it rapidly became. Went from an idea to an organization to an ulcer to everything else. But,
but started.
So
with this
it started with this. So I bought about 1,000 of them and sent her some and said, "Hey, look, let me distribute them for you at gigs." Mm-hmm. So I would come to a show. And in much the same way as just talking about homelessness gave me kind of a way to break up the songs and get people turning away from the bar and from the TV sets and look at what I was, look and hear what I was saying.
Yeah.
I said, well, here's something. Somebody's going to come up to you at some point in the next 24 hours and say, hey, can you help me out?
Yeah.
And typically you don't stop and even acknowledge their existence. You just kind of blast by. And having spoken to people living on the streets and having them tell me, there's cold, yes, there's hunger, yes, but one of the most soul-killing things about living on the streets is feeling like you're becoming invisible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had this guy tell me, he says, I did an experiment. He was a smart guy. He said, I did an experiment one day. I said, I have a hard time telling this story. I did this experiment and I just said, good morning. I didn't ask for money. I just said, good morning, good morning, good morning. And maybe 5 out of 100 people turned and said, hey, good morning. The rest of them just kind of like made the assumption, they're going to ask for something. Right. And I said, imagine that feeling. We all know what it's like to be in a big city, be a stranger, and feel like even though we're surrounded by humanity, we're not connecting to any of them.
Yeah.
And so imagine that times 1,000. Every day of
Constantly.
your life. Where everything you own is in a shopping cart or a cardboard box and right next to you. Yeah. And I said, so this could mitigate some of that.
Yeah.
If somebody says, hey, do you have any money? Do you have it? No, but I've got this. I know it seems a little weird, but it's a blanket and it can keep you warm.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And I would throw these out to the audience and say, hey, look, throw a tip in the tip jar. I can buy more of them. I mean, if you buy them in lots of 1,000, they're like 50 cents a piece.
Right,
so, it's fine. I mean, it's, and my company is doing okay and I can afford to do that. So
what you're doing, you have hit your ticket to heaven, my friend. Like, this is incredible. Blanket the Homeless, what you guys are doing, please look them up, support them, anything you can. Yeah. Also, you guys have done a compilation album.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that a little later in the show. We have Scott coming on.
Yeah, Scott Mickelson, who is a dear friend and my producer. I met him through another wonderful singer-songwriter, Jeff DeZira. He said, oh, you got to check this guy out. Scott heard some of my songs, said, yeah, let's work together. And we started producing, taking a lot of time with it, which was fine because I had no timeline. And he knew that I was totally passionate about this. He's an amazing producer, and he'll talk about how he did a thing to support the fire victims, and I'm sad to say the last Napa fire.
Most recent.
Not the most recent one, but the one a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And he said, why don't we do one for Blanket the Homeless? And he said, let me reach out to some incredible artists, and he'll talk about that. I mean, awesome. Fantastic Negrito, once he signed on, everybody jumped on. Cambria and Brothers Comatose. And, And so that album had 15 tracks, including one of mine, one of his. It's on double vinyl, and I actually had the experience of ripping off the shrink wrap and smelling vinyl for the first time in so many years, and to see one of my tracks on it was just. And last night we had our big concert.
Yeah, you guys had a great concert.
Raised a bunch of money. All the money's going to buying more stuff.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and we're coming into the best time of year for this because it's getting colder. And it's the holidays, and it's the loneliest, saddest time for most people on the streets. So,
yeah. What a spectacular thing you're doing. Like I said, I'm down to help any way I can. So check them out. Blanket the Homeless. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
you're awesome.
It. No, you're awesome.
And I have to talk to you about like where you get your Christmas wear, because I just feel like
I was gonna say
I'm just too urban hip. I really need to go for the for the holiday.
You want my Christmas flair, and I need all this style. So he's gonna be my new stylist as well as Blanket the Homeless. All right, you guys. We'll be right back. You're watching Soundwaves TV.